Throughout this video, we are going to introduce you to Life-Nitrazens, a European project with a very clear objective to improve the management of nitrates in water with the help of the public. It is a project that began in September 2025 and will last for 3 years. It is made up of 11 partners, including Spanish and Portuguese organisations, and your participation is key. Let's start at the beginning. Why nitrates? First of all, let's cover the basics. Nitrates are part of the natural nitrogen cycle and are necessary for plant growth. That is to say, they are not bad in themselves. The problem arises when there is an excess and that natural balance is disrupted, mainly as a result of human activities. When there are too many nitrates in the environment, significant problems occur. On the one hand, they affect the environment, causing phenomena such as the eutrophication of water. And on the other hand, they can affect our health, especially when present in drinking water at high concentrations. For example, high levels of nitrate can cause illnesses such as methemoglobinemia, and it is also linked to an increased risk of certain types of cancer. And most importantly, despite knowing this is a problem and having laws in place to control it, the situation has not improved enough. What's more, we have another added problem. We don't always really know how much nitrate there is in the water. There is a great lack of information regarding both surface and groundwater. And this is where this project, Life-Nitrazens, aims precisely to address this lack of information by monitoring and mapping nitrates in various study areas such as the Duero Basin, the Ebro Basin and the Lower Mondego region, thanks to the direct involvement of the public. In other words, you will be the active part, providing real data that will help to better understand the problem and, as a result, make better decisions. What is Life-Nitrazens? Given all this context we've seen, environmental problems, health risks, and above all, the lack of data, Life-Nitrazens was born. This project proposes an innovative approach, not only to better understand the problem of nitrates, but also to improve how they are managed. Within the project, we have several lines of action, but let's focus on the one that interests us right now, which is citizen science. Why? Because in many cases we don't have enough information about the actual concentration of nitrates, whether due to a lack of infrastructure, limitations in monitoring systems, or simply because not every location is reached. What's the consequence? Well, there are areas where we really don't know what the level of pollution is, and that's where you come in, citizen science. And this is where we'd like to take a moment to thank you, because this project only works thanks to people like you, volunteers, ambassadors, and nodes. Together, we're building something very important. We invite you to join us and be part of this journey. We'll start with the strategy we've defined for citizen science. In this travel guide, we're going to introduce you to the 5 phases into which we've divided the strategy. Phase 1, the creation of the support network of ambassadors, nodes and participants. Phase 2, the preparation of the campaigns. Phase 3, sampling. Phase 4, the logistics of sending samples to the laboratory. Phase 5, the data validation system. Before explaining each of the phases in more detail, I'll make a brief aside to discuss the different profiles that can take part in Life-Nitrazens. On the one hand, we have the nodes, which are the physical meeting points. Each node must be managed by a node coordinator. Another way to participate is by being an ambassador, who is the person that energizes and motivates people. You can be an ambassador without a node or an ambassador with a node. And finally, we have the participants, who are the volunteer citizens wishing to take part in the sample collection. What is a node? It is a physical meeting point. It could be an association, a community centre, a town hall, any kind of organisation. It must be located within the study areas, be accessible to participants, and serve as the storage place for samples until they are sent to the laboratories. It must have a standard fridge in order to store the samples chilled. What's an ambassador? They're the social driving force, the voice of life in Idrisons. They are those individuals or organisations who want to encourage members of their community to take part. They do not necessarily need to have a physical premises, they simply need to help people in the area. They join Life-Nitrazens, can attend the training sessions provided by the coordination team to learn about the methodology, and the ambassadors will be the direct point of contact with participants in their area. And of course, all this work is recognised, visible, and receives ongoing support and guidance from the Life-Nitrazens team. Phase 1. The creation of the support network of ambassadors, hubs, and participants. First of all, before opening the project to the public, what we need to do is set up the network of ambassadors, and for that we will explain how to register, what happens once you sign up, and answer any questions you may have. Once you have registered, we will move on to activation and training, and we will talk about the different meetings between ambassadors, the training sessions, and the support you will receive from the coordination team, so that finally, once this support network is established, we can begin to bring in the participants. We'll also explain how the groups are created, how participant registrations are managed, what your role will be in the channel, and all the informational and support material you can provide to the participants. To take part, you simply need to fill in an online form. It is very quick and easy and can be found both on our website and via this QR link. What happens when you register? We'll ask you for some basic contact details and invite you to join our WhatsApp community. Within this community, we can communicate with you, send you all the necessary materials, coordinate the sampling, and organise the collection of the samples. We will include you in the list of ambassadors that we will publish on the website. Once the network has been established, its activation and training will begin. We'll hold meetings with their ambassadors and the node leaders, as well as training sessions. The coordination team will be supporting you at all times, and we can hold online meetings whenever the ambassadors need them. Once the ambassadors are ready and trained to guide, the process of bringing people on board begins. Each ambassador will be able to call for participation in the project according to their reach. Furthermore, to make your role as ambassador as easy as possible, the Life-Nitrazens team provides you with all kinds of training materials, quick guides, tutorial videos, and application manuals. This way, you won't have to explain the technical methodology from scratch. Your role was simply to accompany and energize. We now move on to phase 2, the preparation of the sampling campaigns. We have organised the work into 3 campaigns spread over the 3 years that the project lasts. Each campaign lasts 5 months, and these 3 campaigns are planned. At the moment, we are in the first campaign, which will run from April to August 2026. We now move on to phase 2, the preparation of the sampling campaigns. We have organised the work into 3 campaigns, spread over the 3 years that the project lasts. Each campaign lasts 5 months, and these 3 campaigns are planned. At the moment, we're in the first campaign, which will run from April to August 2026. Why are we organising ourselves into mini campaigns? First of all, to respect your time, as we don't want the ambassadors to be available 100% of the time throughout all the months it lasts. The campaign, and also for your flexibility. Each ambassador will determine the number and duration of their mini campaign according to their availability and the number of participants in their area. The dates that each ambassador decides upon will be published in the WhatsApp community. What happens during each mini campaign? Firstly, the ambassador will publish the dates of the mini campaign. Next, they will collect the different sampling kits for the participants. They will hand out the sampling kit and information to the participants. Afterwards, the collection of samples by the various participants will take place, and finally, the sample will be delivered to the nodes. What is the sampling kit? A 50 ml bottle for collecting the water, properly labelled. Make sure that the alphanumeric code on the bottle is in perfect condition, as you will need to enter this code when you register the sample in the Geonity app. In addition, it will help us to track the traceability of a sample. The kit also includes an insulated bag. You should place the water sample in here once collected to protect it from light and heat on its way to the node. Lastly, as additional support, you will have an infographic where you will find the methodology for how to collect the water. The Geonity app is available for both Android and iPhone versions. Once downloaded, you can log in with your Google account or register with another email address. Once you have registered, you'll be able to access the 2 EMBAJADORES projects we have, one aimed at public access water and another for privately owned water. If you are taking water from your own property, whether it is your house or your land, and you do not want those coordinates to be made public, you must register the sample using this private property project. If, on the other hand, you do mind the coordinates and the exact location of the sample being public, the project you should use is the Public Access Water Project. You'll also find all the information about registration and the Geonity application in the user guide available on the website, on the Geonity website. The sample project will be published in the user guide. You decide where you want to focus, which places you can sample, where you can collect the water sample. The water points you can sample are very varied. You can do this in natural surface waters, rivers, lakes or reservoirs, or in groundwater such as wells or springs. You can also collect samples from the urban water supply network, for example from your household tap or a public fountain, and you can even take samples from other points such as irrigation channels or other areas related to water. The important thing is to correctly identify the type of water. To do this, you can find a complete list available in our application guide. Therefore, before starting a mini campaign, the preparations that participants should take into account are 1. Have your sampling kit ready? Have the Geonity app downloaded and know how to use it. And 3. Have chosen the correct place for collecting the water. We now move on to water collection, how we collect the water sample. That is to say, we begin our phase 3, sampling. Participants must follow these 7 steps. First, they must go to the sampling location. There, they must fill in the information requested by the Geonity app. You must choose the water collection point, prepare the bottle with a triple rinse, collect the sample, ensuring there are no air bubbles, store and protect the sample properly in the cool bag, and finally head to the node within a maximum period of 2 or 3 hours. This tab will open, showing our geolocated position, and we must first enter the code. This code is the one printed on the bottle. It is an alphanumeric code made up of 2 letters and 3 numbers. We must enter it correctly. Next, we can indicate if we know the name of the place where we are, as well as the municipality or locality. This information is optional. Next, we must select the type. Here, a wide variety of options will appear. We must select the correct one. Next, we can mark the turbidity, colour, and smell of the sample. We can also select the environment we are in by clicking on the option that best fits. And finally, we must upload a photo of the surroundings, as well as a close-up photo of the water location where we are. Finally, once we have completed the entire registration, we submit the observation. If you have any questions about the sampling protocol, we have quick guides available for both ambassadors and participants. Likewise, on our YouTube channel, we have tutorial videos showing how the process takes place and what methodology should be followed for collecting the water sample. Once at the node, the handover of custody takes place. That is, the node manager or ambassador with a node takes responsibility for the water sample from this point onwards. What should they do? They must collect the sample, check the data, and store it under the appropriate conditions until it's sent to the laboratories. First, they should collect the sample, take the bottle out of the cool bag, and check the label. Next, they must record the sample data on the log sheet, write down the bottle code, the date and time of arrival, and note any observations or incidents if applicable. Finally, to store the sample, you should place it on the fridge shelf, ideally at a temperature of 4 degrees. You must reuse the cool bag and the infographic and record all this information on the log sheet. That is, tick a box when the sample is already refrigerated and tick another box when the cool bag can be reused. This is the standard log sheet that the node manager should use to record all this data. Once the mini campaign has finished, or when the stored samples no longer fit in the fridge, phase 5 is activated, which involves sending the samples to the analysis centres or laboratories. What should the node manager do at that moment? They should send a photo of the log sheet to the WhatsApp channel so that it serves as an advance notice for the coordination team to activate the collection logistics, and also as a backup copy. In this way, the notification of the shipment will have been initiated, and the coordination team will take care of contacting the transport company. In the meantime, what is the role of the node manager? As the node manager, you must wait until the coordination team notifies you of the day and time for the sample collection. They will also send you the label with the shipping codes ready to print. Wait for the company to arrive and collect the box with the samples. At that moment, the journey of the water samples will begin towards the analysis centres, the Duero Basin at the University of Burgos and the Ebro Basin at CIT.